Hey there, little internet people. This is, well, I don't know. I guess I wanted like an official name besides just, my internet pen name. So let's call myself Border Town Critic. Because I live in a border town and I criticize things. I've been posting a lot of content lately because of college stress and bothersome depression. So I can't really guarantee there'll be a lot of new stuff coming out. I'm hoping to do at least these little vlogs to have that out there, be more comedic content related to it as it goes on. But today I want to talk about that movie Sing. I saw that movie today. This is Tuesday, December 20th. And Sing had a 6 o'clock showing at a bunch of movie theaters near where I live, despite officially coming out on Wednesday, the 21st. So my sister was excited for it, so we all got together, saw our friends, and we went to see it. Now, Sing is a movie for the uninitiated about a singing contest held to help save a rundown theater. It is kind of a cliched premise, and the movie itself is kind of self aware about the fact that, singing contests are kind of overdone. The movie's soundtrack lists over 85 different songs that it's used, and most of them are covers. One of them is an original song by Stevie Wonder and Ariana Grande. The main character of the plot is Buster Moon, the koala bear voiced by Matthew McConaughey, who owns and manages the Moon Theater. That is down on its luck, and he wants to hold the singing contest together to sort of rejuvenize it. We meet a bunch of other characters on our way over here, including Mike, a mouse voiced by Seth MacFarlane, Rosita, a pig housewife voiced by Reese Witherspoon, Johnny, a gorilla and heir to a criminal empire voiced by Taron Egerton, Ash, a punk rock porcupine voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and Mina, a shy elephant voiced by Tori Kelly. And they feel like the singing contest is their chance to have success. A typo accidentally sets the prize at $100,000 instead of just $1,000. Now, this movie is actually very optimistic. I've noticed at the end of the movie, that's what I came out for. There's a very much a message of, hard perseverance will help with all, efforts. If you build it, they shall come. That kind of a message. And it's not like the movie shies away from some sort of dark themes, such as negative self-worth, criminal life, what happens when you go in with the wrong crowd. The movie does talk about that, but by and large, it comes off very, almost saccharinely optimistic. That would be one of my biggest troubles with it, but honestly, it does sort of go and be very charmful. So I can't really hate this movie. I would definitely recommend this movie if you're aware what it is. And now, despite the trailer, it's not just, 90 minutes of random singing montages. The singing montages we saw in the trailer were pretty much the interview stage, and the rest of the movie is not about that. We see these characters develop and, grow as characters and stuff, which is good because I was worried that we would just see some superficiality in here. But this is Illumination Entertainment, and they have had some decent projects under their belt so far. Before this movie began, we saw a trailer for Despicable Me 3, which I am looking forward to. I probably gave the Minions a little bit more leeway than a lot of people did, but I honestly do like the Despicable Me movies, and I'm looking forward to the third one. Right now I'm going to talk about more of the plot of the movie, so consider this spoiler-ish corner. There aren't going to be any big spoilers in this part, but if you want to go into it blind, I'd recommend not paying attention to very much ahead. So the trailers kind of made it look like that Mike, the Seth MacFarlane mouse, was sort of like the criminal, just sort of like the head of an organized crime ring, but that's not actually true. He's just a street musician down on his luck. He gets involved with some of those guys because he is kind of an arrogant prick, but he's not directly criminal himself, despite his abrasive personality. I also thought, based on some of the scenes, that Ash, sort of the porcupine punk rock chick, was kicked out of her house by her parents at some point. But rather, I think I must have misread the scene, because Ash and Beck Bennett, they're a couple. They're in a punk rock band together, but they are a bit of abrasive. Beck Bennett doesn't treat Ash very well, so Ash sort of, at some point kicks him to the curb. Kicks Beck Bennett to the curb because he's not very supportive. He's not very kind. He doesn't treat her very well or seem to be encouraging of her success as a performer. And I thought this was weird. For some reason, I thought the voices of Mina the elephant and Johnny the gorilla, I thought they were black for some reason. But no, Johnny is voiced by Taron Egerton, and again, Mina, Tori Kelly, who are white. And then I thought, there were no black singers, or I think people of color, just major singers in this movie, which I thought was weird. Which, I don't know, I thought that was a weird decision. I was expecting one thing, and I didn't get it. It seems surprising in a movie about singing with, characters who have very soulful voices. You didn't try to, get any actual soul musician, which is weird, because Tori Kelly, Leslie Jones and Jay Farrow voiced some of her relatives in that scene. So, I thought, hey, but I guess, they're elephants, or, animals don't really have races to them the way humans might. Taron Egerton, though, I didn't know this. He was the voice. He was Eggsy, the main character from Kingsman: The Secret Service, a film that I actually first saw a couple days ago, and I liked it a lot. And I don't know if that was his real singing voice. I assumed that all these singers voice themselves, but if so, he's very soulful. And good for him. There's a scene in this movie that uses the Kanye West song "Flashing Lights" to wonderful effect. It was just absolutely breathtaking, beautiful little visual, but we don't stick on it for very long because other plot elements get in the way of it, and that really bothers me because, it was such a lovely scene, and it was followed by a significant plot event. So I'm just sad we didn't stick on it for very long before it happened. So yeah, that's a flaw. That's a big flaw I had. I ended up kind of frustrated with, pacing. Although this movie didn't have terrible pacing, but it didn't know when when to linger on some good scenes and when not to. If you do see the movie, you will know what I'm talking about. There are flashing lights. This movie begins with a Jennifer Hudson cover of Golden Slumbers. I believe it's Jennifer Hudson anyway. It's Jennifer someone. Yeah, of Golden Slumbers. Sweet, pretty darling, do not cry. And you're going to carry that weight as interluded at a later part in the movie, sort of like the Act 2 ish. And I left a bad first impression because I don't know. I was raised in a family that sort of loved the Beatles, was pro Beatles. So I take the Beatles and Beatles covers very seriously. I'm under no illusions about what kind of people they are. Believe me, I know most of them were jerks to the nth caliber. But I still think covering the Beatles is a big deal, and they had such a far-reaching influence, and not just on music, but an image, on the way that music should be, on the way that musicians should present themselves and how to push the envelope, and, how to sort of, even when they do that, corporate thing, because the Beatles wrote a lot of songs that I'm sure if you hate One Direction today, you might hate the Beatles in their early years, but I don't know. There's something like the charisma and the persona of it makes it hold up in a way that I don't think a lot of One Direction songs or similar won't. Even though the origins are pretty much the same. I'm not sure. The Beatles, their closest relation to each other, they just perform shows in Germany. They lit condoms on fire in the walls. And that's really, you should look that up. So, I don't know, covering the Beatles, to me that shows a lot of chutzpah and not a lot of respect. I mean, there are a lot of, beautiful songs you could have used. Probably not a lot with those themes and words. I mean, I'm just thinking, you've got a lot of Pink Floyd songs you could use, Wish You Were Here. Similar Linger by the Cranberries. That's sort of, it's got pretty much a song with a violin you could use to a good effect there. I don't know. It was something that stuck in my craw, and it's not entirely warranted. It's something I feel I should get off my chest. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of some spoilery corner, so if you haven't seen the movie and you want to, you can cut this off. The flashing light scene I was talking about earlier, that scene ends with the theater getting flooded and just destroying it and demolishing it. And I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was sort of anticipating, because, like, it is a, let's save the ski lodge kind of a plot. But I wasn't expecting, it seemed relatively early in the film, to actually have things go that wrong that quickly. And it's in this scene where Buster's sort of, Matthew McConaughey, Koala, goes into his depths of despair. And also that's the car wash scene. I'm sure everyone's seen in the trailer, the scene of Matthew McConaughey. He's in the Speedo washing on people's cars. And in context, that's actually a very emotional scene. It's established earlier in the film that Buster's father was a car washer, and that's how he helped his son pay for the theater itself. So when the theater is demolished, Buster goes back to car washing because it's, the thing that he knows the best how to do, his own words. And so, we see that, and we, it's sort of humble, so it's still, comic moments in there, but there's a certain weight to this scene that we could not have gleaned from the trailers, or at least that's what I felt. And it's even followed by a heartwarming scene because Buster's friend is a sheep who, eventually does join him in helping to wash cars and keep it secure. When I said the movie was optimistic, it's a lot sort of, because like after the theater falls down, they just, the gang gets back together, they decide they want to put on the show anyway, so they, go to where the land was, to where the old building was, and the land that has since been foreclosed on by the bank. And they all perform that show, and everyone, starts laughing at them at first or not taking it too seriously. And then they perform, and then more attention comes in. So, it is quite optimistic in that sense. At one point, Mike, the mouse, he leaves the set when he finds out that there is no prize money for this round. And he gets into a little bit of a verbal spat with some random people watching the screen, watching the event on TV. The mouse says, "Hey, I can sing better than that," and then some guy says, "Oh, you can't." And then the mouse, he goes on, he performs a cover of "My Way," which it's a good cover, I should say. There are good singers in this movie, especially Seth MacFarlane. He's got a very deep. He's got a real good baritone soul. He does Sinatra a great service, I think. And then, the guy says, "Wow, that pipsqueak was right. He did do it." At one point, Johnny's father breaks out of prison just to, re-reconcile with his son, because they had conflict. If you've seen the trailer, they know there is a conflict. That's not really tight kept secret. The Shy Elephant comes on and performs at last because she's an elephant, stomping down, she quite literally blows the set away, and the crowd, they're all cheering for her. But the whole time, she's dealing with this crippling anxiety. My only thought is, man, you should see a doctor about that. That level of nervousness is not normal, or I guess not. I don't know. I feel like the cure for stage fright isn't just doing it, and just once I would like to see that. I would just like to see a movie where a character says, "What's the cure for stage fright?" And then the other character says, "Go to a therapist. They could help you with that. And you have plans. You could be on a good medication. It'll help you." I'm on medication for my anxiety. It's helped me a lot. I can't imagine if I had to go off of it. And so suddenly. So yeah, I would like to see that represented somewhere in film, or especially children's film, even if it was played for a little bit of a laugh. And yeah, I guess it certainly wasn't the best animated film to come out today. There's actually a lot of contention for that. There were a lot of great animated films this year. Sing wasn't, it really wasn't bad, like, at all. It wasn't as bad as I was fearing it to be, so I definitely check it out if you have a morbid curiosity and that kind, or you just love animation and you want to see it get supported. One thing I've noticed is that Sing gets a bit of comparisons to Zootopia, because Sing and Zootopia, they both came out this year. They're both about worlds, populated by a bunch of, talking animals. But that's pretty much the only thing. Now, when I saw Zootopia, the trailers, the first thing I noticed was that, hey, this is a world that, would realistically be adapted to the lifestyles of a bunch of different animals, of different sizes, different proportions, and different functions. And I say that's a big selling point of Zootopia, at least from the trailer, since they don't really give the plot away. The buddy cop concept, the message about systematic inequalities, can't. Was kind of kept under wraps, so it snuck up on you. But Sing, there is no message to Sing besides, your the typical follow your dreams or be confident in yourself spare. Not that that's a bad moral to be released. I don't want to come off as someone who, hates stuff because they're optimistic. That's a very petty way to hate it. And yeah, indeed, again, I don't think Sing is a bad movie. I quite liked it, especially considering what I was expecting. But no, Sing was actually quite disappointingly, it didn't really engage with the fact that the characters in these movies were animals. Now, mice use the door like everyone else. They drive the same size cars, but, they have their own car seats, little adapters. At one point, Mike, the mouse, drives in this, full car, but he has, like, this car seat and, little steering wheel extension. So, yeah, and, like, there's that, but there's, I've never seen, like, a mouse-sized car or anything. At one point, there are animals who are clearly too big for the houses they are supposed to be in. So, it comes off as kind of just using animals for animals' sake. And I don't blame them for doing that. If they did this plot with humans, it would probably look really boring, whereas, the funny animal thing, that will get some demographics, that will get some attention that you won't get if you did this plot with humans. So yeah, I do think these are very different movies. Okay, that's my vlog. I'm gonna go eat my microphone. See ya.